Hello, this is Unlock 3, Listening and Speaking for B1 level. We are in week 6 and this is day 1. In this video, we are going to look at rhetorical questions. First, let's begin with the definition of rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are not the same as real questions. When you ask a real question, you wait for an answer. But rhetorical questions are different. They are used to bring the listener's attention to a topic or an idea, and the speaker does not expect an answer to the question. When we ask regular questions, like normal questions, we usually stop speaking and wait for the answer. But when we ask rhetorical questions, we don't wait for an answer, we continue speaking. If you are talking about the history of air travel, for example, you could ask rhetorical questions like these. For example, have you ever had a dream about flying in the air freely? Or, when was the last time you flew on a plane? These questions are only used to focus the attention of the listener. You are not waiting for an answer, actually. Starting your talk with a rhetorical question could be an effective way to get the attention of your listeners. Now, go to page 75 and look at exercise 11. You are going to listen to the first part of the interview again. Which questions below are rhetorical questions, and which are real questions? The listening will take 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
4.3.
Have you ever been afraid of flying? Do you feel scared when you sit on a plane? Are you stressed when there's turbulence? If so, you may have aerophobia. The word aerophobia comes from the Greek, and it consists of 2 parts. Aero, which means flight or air, and phobia, which means fear. People with aerophobia experience extreme fear or panic when they sit on a plane. In today's program, we're going to discuss some steps that you can take to reduce this fear. With me today is Mark Noling. Mark used to be a flight attendant who was afraid of flying. He has written a book about his experience and often gives presentations to help other people deal with their phobias. Can you tell us more about your experience, Mark?
Yes, sure. So, I joined a flight attendant's course right after college. My goal was to see the world, and I thought it would be a good job for me. On the course, I learnt a lot more than I expected. During the training, we studied a lot about air safety, but there were also lectures about plane crashes. The instructors would tell us horrible stories of broken engines, birds hitting the aircraft, and hijackings, and even stories of planes crashing in the middle of the desert or in the ocean.
That's terrible.
No, I don't think so. I believe they were trying to make us take the job seriously. They would also discuss the research done by air crash investigators to help us understand the reasons behind air crashes. There is a detailed record of each crash, which investigators check carefully.
But for you, I suppose this training had the opposite effect. Did it make you afraid of flying?
I actually became very scared of being on a plane. When I told my colleagues about it, they just laughed. They couldn't believe that I had completed the flight attendant training and now I was afraid to get on a plane. What was I supposed to do? I decided to do some research online, and I read stories of people who managed to control their fear of flying.
Can it be cured?
Actually, Like any phobia, you can't always cure it, but you can decrease its effects on your life. You need to have the right attitude. You can achieve anything if you concentrate and stay positive. The advice I got was very useful, but it was a challenge, and it took me a long time to get over my fear.
All right, so the question is this. Which questions below are rhetorical questions and which are real questions? The ones circled red are rhetorical questions and the others are real questions. In his speak, I think his name was Mark. Yeah, Mark. The interviewer, the woman, asked these questions to get the attention of the listeners. Now let's practice a little bit. What would be a good rhetorical question for each of the following topics? Look at these topics now. This topic, for example, comes from Unit 1. Should we use animals for entertainment? This topic comes from Unit 2. Are traditions important? And this comes from Unit 3. Should we teach history in schools? And this last one is from Unit 4. Using mobile phone while driving? So actually, this is not a question, but imagine it means, is it okay or not okay? So what could be a good rhetorical question for each of these? Please pause the video here and try to write a rhetorical question for each of these topics, and then come back to see some ideas. Okay, here are a few ideas. For example, number 1, should we use animals for entertainment? You could ask rhetorical questions like this. Do you like horse races? Or have you ever been to a circus? So when you start your talk like this, your listeners will start thinking about horse races or circuses, and you will have their attention about the topic. The second one is, are traditions important? And a rhetorical question for this could be, is there a tradition in your culture which you think is silly? So this could be an interesting question. The third one is, should we teach history in schools? And a good rhetorical question can be, did you like history when you were in high school? And the last one, do you ever use your mobile phone while driving? Could be a good rhetorical question. So in this video, we focused on rhetorical questions and why we use rhetorical questions. You can go to the next video now to learn about and discuss phobias.